Welcome back, everybody, to the NAIOP Solutions Series. My name is Sheila Vertino, and I'll be your host for today's briefing. Our main goal, as you know, is to provide you in that very short time slot with some fresh insights and practical tactics, positive strategies, things that can help you succeed in today's tough business environment. And so we encourage you to help drive that content and give us some suggestions for new topics and new presenters as we go forward. You'll receive a follow-up survey directly after the session today, and there's a place where you can put in your ideas, or you can just simply send us an email with some ideas for topics and presenters you'd like to hear about in future programs. I'd like to thank our sponsor today, which is the Harvard Business School Real Estate Executive Education Programs. These executive education programs are designed to help seasoned and emerging leaders protect their assets and manage complex projects. They also give them the skills that they need to navigate global markets and capitalize on new opportunities. So for more information, we encourage you to visit the website at www.exed.hbs.edu. Okay? And now we're going to move on to our next slide. And just want to mention a little bit, you know that the Solution Series is good for quick bursts of information, but there are some topics that really require and deserve more in-depth discussion, and so for that we have 90-minute webinars. As you can see on the screen, the next full webinar will take place on Thursday, March 11th, and we have John Kurtz, who is going to examine the risks associated with development projects and how to use risk assessment as a guide to structuring project insurance and developing a risk management strategy. The cost of the webinars has been reduced and is now $65 for NAIOP members and $95 for non-members. If you would like to register, there's the URL right at the bottom, www.naiop.org/thecenter. And now I'm pleased to get on with our Solution Series program for today. With us is Merrell Ashley, and Merrell is an architect and director with RAND Construction Corporation. At RAND, Merrell's job is to serve as a bridge between architecture and construction. And he assists the pre-construction and build team in understanding and accurately pricing and executing the architect's intent. He's also their acting director of sustainability. So welcome, Merrell, and thanks for being with us today.
Sheila, thank you very much for the introduction and for the opportunity to speak today at today's web program. I'm honored to be asked by NAIOP to participate in the Solution Series, and I have some timely information I think will be of interest. Again, my name is Merrell Ashley. I'm a director and partner at RAND Construction Corporation in the greater Washington, D.C. area. I have 17 years of experience in the industry, and I spend the majority of my time really tracking the construction market and discussing the topics that we go through today. All right, we have a lot of information to go over in the next 20 minutes or so. Unfortunately, or maybe not, they only gave me 1 minute to shamelessly plug RAND Construction. Actually, I would like to give you some insight to our firm and what we do. RAND is a multi-regional firm with offices all along the East Coast. We're licensed in 27 states and do work as far west as Texas. We're 20 years old, founded in 1989, and we're led by our CEO, Linda Rabbit. We are the second largest woman-owned construction company in the U.S., and again, our headquarters are in Washington, D.C. We began our practice doing high-end commercial interiors in law firms. Our focus is on quality and innovative problem solving. Since then, we have diversified ourselves geographically and in our skills, and while keeping the focus on quality and client advocacy. We've completed a lot of lead space, well over 1 million square feet, and presently have over a dozen projects in process at all levels of certification. One of our biggest differentiators is our pre-construction efforts. In order to be a client's advocate, you have to be able to provide real-time information on buildings, market conditions, project logistics, and costs. This approach allows us to provide a comprehensive and efficient ways to deliver construction to our clients. We employ 15 people in our company that just focus on these tasks. Okay, enough about RAND. Let's get started with the trends in the market today. We have 3 topics that we're going to cover today. It's really about 10 topics, but we're going to compress it into 3 headings. We're going to talk about construction costs, where we've been, and the effects today. We're going to talk about lead issues. We're going to talk, of course, it's highly discussed in the marketplace. Have some interesting twists and issues at hand that I'd like to share with you. And I'm going to run through a lightning round of trends in the market that I think are relevant to providing space for tenants. So let's get started. Okay, I show this first slide because it has lots of numbers on it, and you might think you know what I'm talking about. Actually, it's a little confusing. This slide is a compilation of each year of work that RAND has put in place since 2002 and with projections into 2010. The number I would like for you to focus on are the percentage areas at the increases at the bottom. You will see in 2003, 2004, there was some really good growth of 11 to 13%. 2005 to 2008, 7 to 9% growth, and this tracks along with and is indicative of many of the construction reports that that are readily available. 2008, the bottom fell out with an 18% drop, and we are anticipating another modest drop in 2010. In the smaller numbers, it's fair to say that all the trades fell off, but we have found some interesting information that we want to share. Let's check out the next slide. All right, this next graphic charts those numbers of the major trades: electrical, HVAC, millwork, and drywall. Looks a little bit like the stock market, if you ask me. Again, tracking the 2007, 2008, and then the big drop-off. This dip in 2008, 2009 was significant, but it's also a little bit misleading, as what we saw is what we refer to as a false bottom. It was a false bottom because it really wasn't the cost of the work. It was the cost of the project that would win the award, that would get somebody in the door. With a competitive market and hungry subcontractors, many GCs were cutting numbers by 10% or even more. Many firms were taking work well below cost just to keep their doors open. Of course, this is great for the buyer, as it was like getting a 20% coupon for construction work. However, it is bad for the market. Those who utilize this business strategy for the short term are now having to catch up to them. They are going out of business. They're getting bailed out by other entities. They are trying to leverage strained relationships. And what this business strategy did do has really caused a lot of volatility in the construction market. Next slide. All right, this last chart here is one to focus on the smaller trades: metals, flooring, tiles, and paint. What you can gain from this information is that there's less volatility in the materials, and things have remained more steady for these trades. There, of course, was a drop-off in 2008, but you can see it's not nearly as significant. These trades remained steady during the economic downturn as tenants renewed their leases and used TI monies for finishes and minor upgrades. So what does that tell us about our future? All right, volatility will remain until we reach a manpower balance and business strategies change. You can still get a discount on your construction. I think that will be happening for at least the next 6 months, or really until the work picks up, depending on which market you're in. One of the trends we are seeing is longer lead times for materials. During the last year, manufacturers slowed down. They cut production. They let all the surplus off their shelves. They made their products, even easy to get products, for instance, drywall, were made more made to order. Backstock will be less available in the upcoming year. What that does for us is those items that were once 4 to 6 week lead items are now stretching to 8 to 10 or even longer. So you should be prepared for longer procurement periods. As a tenant or someone who's building out new space, here's a to-do list to consider for your general contractor. Do your due diligence. Review their financials. Do they pay their subs? What are their debt levels? What's their credit rating? You want to make sure that your general contractor will be there from the start to the finish, as well as pay those subs that will be there from the start to the finish. Make sure that GC is doing the same to his subs. Decisions in a volatile market are harder to make than ever. Bring your team together early to help you and your tenants make decisions. And lastly, bond them. You will pay a small premium for bonding, but what you will have done is mitigated all of your risk. All right, topic number 2, well talked about in the marketplace, is LEED and sustainability. Here's what we know. LEED is well established as the leader in the market. Version 3 came along, sort of tipped the apple cart over. Everybody was concerned about change in LEED. It was not as upsetting as we thought. Changes were quite simple, and really the focuses were directed more toward energy and efficiencies, giving more weight to those things that really mattered. What was once considered a premium item is coming to a market near you. Why? Tax incentives, utility rebates. Many markets are beginning to mandate, which are driving people toward LEED. And soon to come, there will be penalties if you don't build sustainably. A comprehensive website and resource for all the incentives provided by federal, state, and local governments can be found at the address shown, dsireusa.org. It's a good website to check out that information. Costs are down. Materials have become more mainstream. Processes have become more mainstream. Things like diverting waste, recycling, commissioning HVAC systems have really turned into best practices. More choices, more opportunities to get those. Products are even more efficient than they were 2 years ago, and you have a lot more options to choose from. I will tell you this, and don't let the naysayers fool you. This will be the way we do business from here on out. If you're old enough to remember the American with Disabilities Act, when it came out, no one wanted to build ramps and no one wanted to build accessible bathrooms. Well, here we are 23 years later building ramps and accessible bathrooms. This is the wave of the future. And if LEED is not feasible for you, there are other options. Energy Star for buildings is something that is achievable. Green Globes is another option other than the USGBC's LEED program. It's a little less restrictive, and it does have some international options. And even if you're just focusing on best practices, you can make your space more environmentally conscious. All right, so what's the big issue with LEED today? Who should lead your LEED? In completing a LEED project, you need to utilize the input, knowledge, and skills of clients, architects, property managers, brokers, MEP engineers, manufacturers, vendors, general contractors, subcontractors, and consultants. It's a lot of people in the mix. So who do you turn on to coordinate all these efforts? Well, it actually really depends on your project, but the smartest choice is the person with the most experience, the entity that has the most projects under their belt. The person with the most work to do on the project may be the best person to lead the efforts. And it could be the person that stands up and says they'll take it on. You have to remember we're still in the fledgling stages of LEED, and any experience a consultant or provider gets is a feather in their cap. Just make sure that they can do the work it takes to coordinate the team and information. Here's a checklist of LEED considerations for you to look at. First off is to evaluate your project. The more complex, the more it suggests a LEED consultant. Number 2, pick a leader up front. Less confusion during the process, one point of contact, makes it a much smoother process. Have a team do the due diligence to understand the credits and cost. This needs to be done prior to registering your project. Number 4, integrate, integrate, integrate. LEED decisions need to be made early and tracked often as part of the design and construction process. This is not something that you do in a separate meeting. And lastly, be aware, or better yet, beware of anyone making guarantees as to LEED credits or levels of achievement. Our litigious society, we've even created new law practices focused on greenwashing and guaranteed performance of green space. All right, we're moving into the home stretch here and into our lightning round. Okay, I just want to finish up something on LEED, return on investment. A lot of the hardline data is coming out on spaces built in the early 2000s, and a lot of it is coming back better than originally calculated. Quicker return on investments, more cost savings, and better places to work. I predict a surge is going to occur with LEED because you have better understanding by team members. It's much more streamlined process. The incentives will drive it, and there's even more peer pressure today to be sustainable. Tangibles such as higher productivity, less sick days, and again, a return on investments will make it much more apparent. All right, let's move on to turnkey. We're seeing a lot more turnkey projects in the marketplace. This is where the landlord takes responsibility for the build-out. They hold the contracts for the construction, the design, and of course they hold the TI dollars as well. This was typically used in less expensive scenarios. Of course, we're seeing more tenants that don't have any money or don't want to spend any money to cover the cost of new space. Pros, ease of lease transactions, and I believe there's a lot of buying power that the landlords can provide, more than a tenant can. The cons, there's a lack of clear expectations. I would challenge you to go around your office and ask 10 people what $40 a square foot space is, and I guarantee you that you'll get 10 different answers. There's also less team integration, which can often cause problems with the process as well as the product. On the renewal side, which we see a lot of turnkey, tenants and landlords are getting creative and more flexible on how to spend the TI dollars. 2009, if I had to characterize it, would be the year of paint and carpet, which is the old standby. But I saw a lot of more people being creative with the way they use their TI dollars. New data rooms, upgrading cabling to Cat 6, new energy-efficient lights, HVAC, appliances. I even had one tenant just buy new chairs because they like some new chairs. All right, let's go on the next slide. All right, design build is making a comeback. It's returned to prominence. This is the standing operation in the public sector work, but we're seeing it filtering more and more into the private. As we see more government stimulus money, you're going to see a lot more design build opportunities. The benefits are more integrated team, less legal contracts and points of contacts to deal with, and people are trying it out as the buzz surrounding integrated project delivery grows. That's for another discussion, but IPD is really the hot topic on the street as well. We're also seeing it more as smaller projects within build-outs. Stairs, data centers, conference areas, high-end AV areas. It is a collaborative approach to more complex pieces of the project. Okay? Next trend, glass. It's the new drywall. We're seeing more and more glass in the projects than ever. It's driven by certainly the daylighting requirements that LEED desires, but it also has to do with some other things. We have more has to do with security. There's more visual and direct sight of spaces and equipment. Collaboration of staff. People can see that other people are sitting at their desk. And accountability. Bosses can see that other people are sitting at their desk actually doing their work and maybe not surfing the net. We're seeing a shortage of providers for glass due to the surge in demand, and this will eventually affect lead times, options, and quality. One of the groups that has really stepped up with this is the furniture manufacturers. We're seeing a lot more options for demountable partitions with glass, and over the last 5 years, they have become much more affordable, more convenient lead times, more aesthetically popular, And, of course, they always bring the tax write-off of furniture. They are being used effectively in conference areas, data centers, office spaces. We're even seeing affordable dual-pane systems that offer increased sound barriers and privacy between spaces. Okay, last slide. Interior spaces. For the most part, interior spaces are getting leaner and leaner. Spaces are reflecting how people work. You have more collaborative spaces, which equals more open offices and workstations and open conference areas. And heads-down work is still at a premium, and those are more shared closed areas in lieu of single offices. You're seeing more lower furniture systems for the daylighting and views. You're seeing more large work surfaces for multiple use. You're seeing more affordable furniture options for millwork and work areas. Extreme flexibility, number 4. Tell the story. My kids go to a school that has a large room that they use in the, on a daily basis. In the mornings they do PE in it, physical education. At noon they eat lunch in it, and in the evenings there are either plays or community events held in it. We call it the gym cafetorium. It's a gym, it's a cafeteria, and it's an auditorium all in one. These are the type of spaces we see today in today's office marketplace. The large spaces that were always typically separated, reception, conference, workroom, and eating areas, are all becoming one flexible space. All of this allows for all the functions and necessities of a business in a smaller square footage. And the last trend I want to speak of is BIM, Building Information Modeling. Revit is here. It is the software that's been touted as a way to revolutionize the design and construction and facilities industry. In the near future, the teams will build a computer model prior to building a building or building an interior space. And it may as soon as everyone is using it. Today, the architects are using it for quick 3D modeling and presentations, as well as delivery of construction documents. Contractors are using it for clash detection, coordination, takeoffs, and site visualization. Tomorrow, consultants and subs will be using it more. We'll see more integrated models and more integrated shop drawings. Today, it's best being used on large-scale projects such as stadiums and hospitals, but we are constantly searching for ways to make it accessible to smaller projects. All right, this concludes our discussion on trends in the market. I hope you're able to get some valuable pieces of information from what was presented today. I want to thank NAIOP again for the opportunity, and I hope you all have a great afternoon.
Thanks, Merrell. That was really terrific. We've got some great insights there into what's going on in the various office space needs of today's tenants, and obviously some insights into through the photos too, into some really interesting tenant improvements that you've done. For those of you who would like to hear this presentation again, it'll be available by close of business today. And as you might know, all of the past programs are also available if you want to check them out at any time. They're on the NAIOP corporate website, and that's naiop.org. On the front page, there's a large button that says Solutions Series, and just click on there, and it'll take you in. You might also find what you're looking for in the on-demand bookstore. And those are free to NAIOP members. Now, I want to also mention that if you're an architect, designer, or property manager and you're involved in tenant improvements and looking for a way to advertise your services, we do have a tenant improvements directory that's coming out in Development Magazine, and I encourage you to take a look at that. The listing that are bought for the tenant improvements directory will run in the winter issue of Development Magazine, and then also throughout the year they'll be available in the online buyer's guide. So if you would like more information on that, you can contact Robin Haberly at 800-666-6780, and Robin will be happy to help you with that. We have two more Solutions Series programs coming up this March, one on the 17th and the other on the 31st. And in keeping with the spirit of March 17th, our program will feature a conversation with Patty McNeely, who is the CEO of Merritex. and we have Alex Klatskin, or Alex Mick Klatskin as we're calling him for this program. He's going to be engaging Patty in a frank discussion about how he keeps his 93-year-old business running at top speed. And for the March 31st program, we're still finalizing those details. We'll be sending you an email. Look for one from NAIOP Corporate about registration information for both of those programs. Before we go, just remember that if you have any topics to suggest or presenters, please note them in the survey or send us an email. Thank you again, Merrell, for a terrific presentation today, and thank you all for attending the program. Goodbye for now.